right, folks, back again for another Creekside Chat. How we doing, Adam?
Episode 4. Actually, I told you yesterday I needed some heaters in here. I think I'm actually cold. And I wore short sleeves. That was a big mistake.
Yeah, you also put your half-chewed gum under the table before we started filming, so you could eat it later. So
it's better than chewing it during the film.
We call you a little peculiar at times. No. Again, the only podcast that we know of filmed in a stallion barn. Shaun, Laungani, Diamond Creek, Adam Bowden here with you, and we're excited today because this is an episode that is kind of just getting back to our grassroots, just you and I talking. We don't have any special field segments or special interviews, so we're just going to cover a lot of topics and get our opinions on it. We're going to talk about our trotting sensation Karl coming to stud. We're going to talk about the stud fees we released. We're going to talk about the sales because we've gotten through most of the major ones now. And then maybe let's even debate some of the divisional leaders and who we think's kind of poised for getting their award for their division and that kind of
that'll be fun. You can see it on social media now, people putting out their ballots. And so there's some arguments happening on social media, and we'll do the same thing here.
Cool. So we'll have a little debate and go get through some of the hot topics of the day. And we'll hope you stay with us here as we get on to Behind the Barn Door.
Apart from most horses so far that I've seen.
Karl goes on to take the lead. Karl is in front and pulling away. It is Karl who is a dominant victor tonight.
Karl, the Breeders' Crown champion, is a Kindergarten Series champion. Karl wrapped up from post 10. It's Karl. But it's Karl. Karl caps it off, and Karl just cruising. Karl dominates the Valley victory. And right there is Karl on the outside with a late lunge. Karl on the outside, a final surge. Karl, he's king of the Hambletonian. It's Karl. Karl takes it in 151 and 3.
Adam, let's pull back these barn doors, give people a look behind the scenes here, what's been going on at Diamond Creek.
I mean, it's Karl.
Our hot topic. Yeah. Every day is Karl. Yeah.
I mean, starting with the hype video last week, which got tremendous play from everybody, from my family who I sent it to the sport. I mean, it's fantastic. PM did a great job, getting that out, and we were going to use it to try to secure him early in the season, but now we're going to use it to syndicate
it to the public.
Yeah. So that was fantastic.
Some of that footage from the starting car at the Red Mile, and you can see his gait. I mean, his gait's unique and cool, and I think one of the taglines they put in the video there is "speed that carries."
Yeah, and he did from the beginning of his career, the beginning of the races, all the way through.
Like, if you really break it down, is it fair to say the best 2-year-old since Chimpanzee? All due respect to TCI, right? So we put him in that category too. The 2 best 2-year-olds since Chimpanzee, right? That gap.
Yeah,
and then. Would it be fair?
I'd even say it goes back even farther than that. And then I love Chimpanzee, don't get me wrong, but like maybe Muscle Hill.
Yeah, you could argue, right? Because Chimpanzee mostly was New York and then Breeders' Crown.
Yeah.
And then could I say would it be fair to say that Karl would be like one of the biggest potential speed influence prospects since like a Wallner?
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Wallner was that enigma. He was almost a thoroughbred, right? That didn't race enough, but everybody knew that he was great. And Karl is that horse. I mean, you didn't have to watch those races but one or two times to know that he just exudes class.
Surely.
And he is cool to be around. I mean, we experienced it this winter and we're sold hook, line, and sinker. And so I think that ties in with the open house that we're going to have. Like, we want people to come and see this horse. Like, he is special.
Yeah, to us, he's as exciting of a stallion prospect as we could ever acquire. Super excited to see who's going to be our partners, right? As we go through that process. That's
we want
fun
everybody to be partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we need everybody, right?
Yeah.
It takes a village to make this horse what we all expect he could be at stud. I mean, there's talks of Atlanta, Manchego,
special way,
right?
Yeah, I mean, you have
this
three
is just
or four
early,
of the best
like unconfirmed,
mares.
but these are mares that are likely getting booked, and I just can't wait to see what that full book looks like.
It's going to be
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Gangbusters,
Yeah.
right? And then it'll be up to the stallion to do his job and bring in his part of the deal. And
it's going to be fun. Yeah,
being out of an RC Royalty mare. There's
crosses
outside
with
of
a
just
lot of
direct
stuff.
Muscle Hill mares, like excluding, if you have a mare that's by Muscle Hill, I get it.
They're going to
Doesn't
breed to
cross.
him. Some of
There's
them are
some
gonna
that
breed.
may,
Yeah.
but outside of that, it virtually crosses with everything else. And
awesome.
that's a huge pool to pull from, and we hope to get the very best mares. And I know everybody wants a breeding to Karl, and everybody needs to have, a Karl yearling or two in their consignment if they're a commercial breeder that first year. I get it, but there's going to be so few available, especially with all the European interests. We need people to buy shares. So tell us about the shares and what we've done to try to offer value and something that we think makes a ton of sense for this horse.
I mean, we're sitting where Karl's going to live right here in the barn, but he's going to stand here in Kentucky for $20,000. Share price is $85,000. And if you can't afford $85 up front, we have payment terms to spread it out over a 4-year period. I don't know why you wouldn't buy a share.
Right.
Like you said, you get in on the ground level on a horse that, a couple of weeks ago was worth a lot more than what we're pricing him out at.
Yeah.
And we footed the bill for this. We believe in the horse. We're playing the long game.
I mean,
we
we're
are all in.
Yeah, we're all in.
Yeah.
We will do everything humanly possible that it takes to make this horse.
And the original owners are fantastic and
board.
have been great partners so far. And it
Crawford,
should
they
continue.
will also support and do everything possible. So
I mean, Barry, he's going to support the horse, and
Barry
I mean,
Garigula.
it's going to be fantastic. I mean, just the initial response has been wonderful. So.
That's super exciting. Can't wait to have him here, and that won't happen until after what?
The open house and the retirement ceremony on TVG night and the Final Four night. And I spoke with Nancy, and she's going to retire him there at the Meadowlands. But before that morning, we're going to have an open house. She's graciously opened the doors to her place on a night that she's going to be focused on the track. But she's allowed us inside. And
It's a great opportunity. If you're in the area, or even if you're not, you want to make a trip, November 30th on Saturday, come over to Millennium Farm. It's in Cream Ridge. You can Google it for the address, Nancy Tactor Stable, and you can see Karl in the flesh. You can touch Karl. You can get your picture taken with Karl. You can do just about anything you want with Karl except ride Karl or sit behind Karl.
Yeah, we probably won't let you do that. No, we're definitely not letting you do that.
No, but
Caroline's going to bring merchandise as well, so we'll be able to some giveaways.
Exclusive merchandise. This is not like going to be at every event and available to everybody. Exclusive merchandise.
Yeah.
Stonebridge bagels, I hear, potentially. I don't know if you
I'll
know
be
about
eating one of
Stonebridge.
those.
Delicious bagels. Come on over, have lunch with us. Even if you're a pacing guy, you're not even really interested in trotters, come on over anyway.
This could be your first one.
Yeah. Let's get a big crowd out here and let's have fun. And then let's retire a great, great horse who we've hyped up as well as we can right here, deservingly so. And let's move on to this next topic of how did we set these stud fees last week?
It's hard, right? I mean, like, it starts back in the summer. I mean, you and I write them all on the board. It's actually a lot more complicated, trying to make sure that we get it right, because we're getting it right for yearlings that are going to sell 3 years from now. And so,
and we want those breeders to experience at least a 4, if not 4 plus, 5, 6, 7 times multiple on the stud fee with their yearling averages.
Absolutely. And it's hard to figure. And obviously Sweet Lou was the one that we debated about the most, not only internally, but with the original owners who have played an important role in his success. And, we always like to loop them in. And Mark Weaver's a great guy to bounce ideas off from. And again, it was 25 or 30 for Sweet Lou, and I think you could have justified both. But I think
we had the people booking without even asking the price, because you just have to have a Sweet Lou right now.
Yeah, and so we ended up settling at 25. Again, like I said, you could have gone either way, but again, I think our idea has always been to give breeders as much value as possible, and I think that aligns with that, the 25 number for him.
Yeah, we'd rather not just make money on selling one breeding to you. We want to sell breedings to you for years
Forever.
and years, and so we need you to have some meat on the bone and the ability to experience a profit, because we know just as well as everybody listening probably how tough this is and how tough it is to get one to sale and profit. So, but
for the most part, like the stud fees remain unchanged, for various reasons. But, sometimes we knock some down just a hair. Father Patrick came off his number to 7,500. He just provides a tremendous value. The fillies are worth so much more than the colts, and I think that's part of the issue, right? That we run into with him, and so
what a great option for people though who maybe they have an older mare or a mare that needs a little help on the repro side. He's just so fertile. You know, and if you've got a hard luck mare and you're not super comfortable booking her to a $20,000-$30,000 stud. What an opportunity.
Absolutely. And then you tie in somebody like Seaside in Ohio. He's been the king there forever. And, 17.5 is kind of a weird number. And we talked about, rounding down to 15. But, you watch these breedings sell online up front, no guarantees that kind of tell you he's worth 20. So even at 17.5, he's good value.
His pipeline is as full as anybody out there, with the way the yearling sold and how we expect that crop to race. And then, believe it or not, guys, that the yearling crop for next year is even better, quite a bit better.
We walked through the fields just the other day, and it's like loaded. Seaside after Seaside of good ones.
He's loaded. So the way I see Seaside right now, like were you to breed to him in 2025, you are literally going to be following, his very best 2- and 3-year-old crops. So that could work out in your favor. Yeah, he'll also be very popular. So on Sweet Lou and Seaside, you better get your mares in quickly, because they're both going to fill any day.
And then you got first crops. Our first foals on the ground in 25 for 3 major stallions that we talked about last year, right? In Tactical Approach, Cannibal, and then, of course, Confederate.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun for us. We'll have to hit the road and see as many as we can. Feel free to reach out when those first Confederates, Cannibals, and TAs drop. We want to hear all about those. We call Tactical Approach TA because we run into a lot of issues with tactical. Getting confused between 3 or 4 stallions. So what else? We got Chimpanzee staying the same. But who else is coming to Kentucky?
Mickey moving to Kentucky for like a lot of different reasons. And, as anybody saw this fall, like he crushed down here at the Red Mile. And, a lot of people race the Mickeys, and, that provides you that 50% bonus if your mare's here and he's here. And, down the road, that's going to pay dividends for these people breeding.
And Mickey and Minnie has been a nice 2-year-old star. And then I don't know if people noticed, but that was a really well-bred yearling crop he sold. So he could also have another 2-year-old, a nice 2-year-old season in the pipeline behind her. Yeah. So Kentucky, people are probably getting the gist that we're pretty big on Kentucky, because this is 3 stallions now. We're kind of one of very few that are standing stallions here. So, that's something to keep in mind. If you have questions about Kentucky, it's important to note that you can be Kentucky eligible. Your foal can be Kentucky eligible. The mare does not have to be here.
Correct.
So like always be Mickey, he can ship, and hopefully Karl can too, or at least fly. Chimpanzee currently does not, but there's ways to incorporate Kentucky eligibility into your breeding program without having to have mares here. On the side in PA, who else do we need to talk about? We talked about Father Patrick. Don't forget about Confederate and Tactical Approach standing their second seasons. Great opportunities there. We've got Pebble Beach, who will have first yearlings next year.
God, and everybody says the same thing when they talk about the foals. They're good-looking horses. And he is as pretty a horse as he is. We'll likely have another open house out there this year. And, we sold a ton of breedings last year after people got to see him in the flesh last year.
You need to see that horse. So we got Pebble Beach at 7,500 in Ohio. And then let's not forget about Cannibal up in New York. He'll be staying his second season, and stud fee remains unchanged at $6. So hopefully that gives you all an idea of what goes into setting the stud fees. Encourage people to apply, get their mares in. We'll try to get your response as quick as we can. As we know, you need to be figuring out your breeding plans. But again, on these Sweet Lou's and Down by the Seasides and Karl's and Chimpanzees and Confederates, we need to hear from you as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Would hate for you to miss out. So that's enough on stud fees. What about Diamond Creek Racing? Because I think we kind of had a what we would call like a malign season halfway through, but now we're looking at the season and we're like, hey, this season actually worked out pretty good. We hit some goals.
Yeah, we took good care of the horses, the few horses that we did have, and it's hopefully paying off. Like you said, we won the Matron with a 2-year-old pacing filly and a 3-year-old pacing filly, and then you got a couple more to finish out the season in the 3 Diamonds and the Governor's Cup. So.
Yeah, hopefully we can finish out this year strong. And then we've got how many 2-year-olds?
I don't want to tell you. Too many. No, but we'll end up back with a more normal number in our race stable next year, somewhere in the 25 or 26 range. So that's good for us.
Still debating on a few 4-year-old fillies, or will be 4-year-old fillies, and what to do there, whether to breed or race. So
it's likely going to be an arm wrestle type thing, Shaun versus me. So we'll see what happens there.
Oh, good stuff. So with that, why don't we move into the open bridle segment? We got some hot topics in the industry that need to be discussed.
Here comes the Fed.
It is Confederate. Isn't he magnificent?
He seized more than $2 million in his illustrious career, with arresting victories in the most wanted list of races.
Confederate 146-1, a world record.
Confederate destroys them.
Hailing from a long line of heroes, he's destined for greatness. Confederate, standing at Diamond Creek Farm.
This breeding season, take the tactical approach.
Tactical approach! How did he do it?
2023 Trotter of the Year. Earnings of more than $1.5 million. The last colt since Muscle Hill to win the Hambletonian, Kentucky Futurity, and Breeders' Crown. Tactical approach. New to Diamond Creek in 2024.
And why don't we open up this bridle here and get into some of the topics that seem to be noteworthy, newsworthy in the industry right now. What's the kind of post-sale chatter?
I think you and I have discussed it, but it's been out there as well, is like what happened to the middle part of the yearling market. Do you have any opinions?
Yeah, I don't know if the general public picked up on it, because the headlines are like the top end's never been better. People are willing to pay more than ever, or at least in recent history, right?
Yeah.
For the top prospects.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, you saw the first $1 million yearling at Harrisburg. You saw one bring 925 in Lexington. It's crazy good.
Even on the breeding stock side, the top end stock, I mean, it's as good as
off
it's
the
ever
charts
been,
high,
which is great.
Yeah.
That's all good. I mean, a lot
but
to
I think it
celebrate
shadows
there.
over, the meat of the market, as they say, right? Is what happened. Where is it?
Where is it? Where are people? And the low end too, right? Like the horses that, really aren't considered to be the top prospects. They used to have, or they seem to used to have, like some stability in value. Like, oh, I can get the stud fee back, or I can get the stud fee plus some. And then you see,
there's
on
nothing there
those
right
late days at both sales where lack of buyers, lack of bidders.
I mean, I got my theories, right? Like I was teasing Mark about it, but because they breed so many now themselves, like they're buying less yearlings. Like Burke not participating in the marketplace to the same degree that he did probably has an effect on the market.
Let's assume, without knowing, that operations like theirs are doing a little bit of breeding on the side now.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you, right? When you see,
I agree.
So potential there, like less need for horses, right?
Also think that the failure of some horses, some stallions recently, right? We have one internally, right? Captain Crunch, massive failure. Those horses were averaging, 30 to 50 before. They're averaging 9 now. Like that sucks. Bad.
Yeah.
Green Shoe, massive failure. Tall Dark Stranger's first crop, a little bit of a disappointment. You know, you have that kind of stuff happen. These horses no longer fit that middle part of the market, or the majority of their stuff fit that part of the market. I think that hurts.
Yeah, there's definitely cause for caution on the breeding side when it comes to all this. But with the top end being so good, we're likely to see an increase in mares bred, right?
Yeah, because too many horses are going to stud.
Yeah.
But see, I disagree with that. Like, right, they wrote in the publications the last week or so about too many stallions going to stud. I think people think it's too easy.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like we can make anything work. We'll just throw at the wall and make it stick. And it's way harder than that. And I think people will figure that out. And I think that is going to contribute to the middle part of the market being terrible for coming up. And it's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, I know after those sales, you take a hard look at the broodmare band and you're like, okay, who still makes sense? Because they're not wanting just
average horses.
So it just from our end, being breeders and sellers, it felt like people were more picky. If they loved you, they'll overpay you. If they didn't love you, they're
not going to pay you anything for it. And I worry that that's going to be an issue moving forward, because you have how many horses going to stud this year? How many new horses?
Oh gosh,
7, 8, 9. I mean, it's crazy,
yeah.
And everybody's playing the game now, right? Like everybody is a stallion manager, and that's fine. I mean, the more the merrier, as long as it fits, right? But you're going to have a lot of mares bred to a lot of what will end up becoming mediocre stallions, whether they're ours or somebody else's.
No one knows which ones will be mediocre.
They're going to populate the middle part of the yearling market, and they're going to get killed. And I think that's bad for business, but we'll see.
So we'll see. You know, we're all staying in it, and we're all obsessed with it, and we'll all keep trying our best, and we'll take it as it comes, right? But at the same time, we'll try to figure it out as it goes.
Yeah, but I think you have to, as we found over the years, like when you try something and it doesn't work, stop and get out of it and do something else immediately. Otherwise, you're going to be a sinking ship.
Yeah, we're always trying to take a look and say, is this still working? You know, how can we adapt based on what we see? So it's definitely a concern, what we saw this year, but don't want to be all doom and gloom, right? So with all that being said, where did we see some hope or some silver linings?
I think the sire stakes programs in just about everywhere are as good or better than they've ever been. And I mean, you saw New York just up their purses for their sire stakes. Kentucky just secured, future funding. As we sat through that meeting there. It's great. I mean, the racing opportunities and the ability to make money has never been better. I mean, there is a tremendous amount of money being given away at all levels. At the fair levels, at the Stallion Series levels, and at the Sire Stakes levels, and then even Grand Circuit. So, I mean, we race horses. A lot of people race horses, but anybody buying yearlings, like there's never been a better ROI than there is right now.
No question. And the industry will work itself out, right?
It always does.
The buyers will figure out where the value is, and we'll probably be seeing a whole new
we'll be talking about
next year, whatever it may be. Who knows? So we'll all keep breeding horses and doing our best to put the best product out there, and we'll hope that somebody finds them and pays us well for it. So let's move on to these divisional leaders and some of that good debate.
I mean, some are so easy that, you don't even need to talk about more than
like
one
Twin
horse.
Beach Fresh, right?
Right, or Maryland or any of those kind of horses.
But I mean, no competition. But then there's one of maybe the closest ones, and I don't know if you feel this way, but the 3-year-old trotting fillies. Some people say Armelina, she won the Futurity and she kind of danced every dance and was always there. But then Allegiant has really come on this last half of the year. Now, I don't know if this is breaking news, if anybody knows, but I hear that at least Armelina is pointed to the TBG. And I'm assuming Allegiant is as well. So it'd be curious to see, if that has a big impact.
Well, the Breeders' Crown winner gets invited, so that makes sense for Allegiant.
I didn't realize that, believe it or not, the Futurity and the Hambo Oaks winner get invited. I never knew that.
No, only if there's not enough horses. And it doesn't look like there's going to be enough, so that makes a lot of sense. And with Jiggy Jog out and retired now, it opens that division up.
Could one of those two win? So that's a really close one. Who else is close?
3-year-old trotting colts are close. I mean, there's going to be the hot horse at the end of the year versus the best horse I've seen in a couple of, over the course of his career, and Karl versus 6 Hour.
Should be super close.
Yeah,
right?
and both horses deservedly so could win it. Obviously, we're rooting for Karl.
Absolutely, that would be great for Karl. But obviously, we realize that the later stuff usually gets
weighted,
matters.
So
maybe
at the end of the
6
day.
Hours got the edge. but we'll go with Karl since he's our guy now.
But the one division that really you can make a case for 3 or 4 is the 3-year-old pacing colts.
What are they going to do there?
You see, they're all in the progress.
Yeah, which is going to.
Minus legendary, but all the best 3-year-old pacing colts are in the progress. I bet you whoever wins that race, you make a case that horse is the winner.
Yeah, kind of. If I was handicapping it, I would say Albano has a slight edge at the moment.
But he didn't race in Lexington, and he didn't win the Breeders' Crown.
Yep, that's fair.
So, it probably does come down to the progress pace and not the Breeders' Crown. I mean, Mirage has got a chance. Najinski has a chance. And Captain Albano. It's probably down to those 3 at this point. But
Lou Prince probably got the 2-year-old colt pace wrapped up, I would think. He was awfully brilliant.
And Mickey and Minnie, 2-year-old pacing filly. A lot of these are pretty easy. Now, some people will say that Chantilly is, but she never raced outside of Canada, I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't think
you kind of need to face
totally Canadian-based horse should win the damn patch. But, it happened when we had Confederate, the state, what's his name there? Stockade Sealster won.
Yep, that's right.
After having not raced
she'll win the O'Brien for sure. It's just a question of will she win the damn patch or not.
And she is quite good, by the way. And I'm not taking anything away from her 9 for 9, and she dominated when she raced. But I think it's hard. Yeah. I think you can make a case that Chris Ryder's filly deserves to win as well.
Yeah. Which others would be close? The older.
A Buckabet's going to win that one, and Winner's Bet's going to win the other one.
Yeah.
The older trotters,
and then Jiggy Jog
crushes.
Yeah. So really, those are pretty much the closest ones, I think. Yeah.
I mean, you got it covered.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun to see the results when they come in.
Yeah, especially like the Karl 6-hour vote. That'll be fascinating because how much do you wait the end of the year? So it'll be fun to see what they come up with and celebrate those horses for sure. But we better take it down the stretch here and get into some fun stuff about the holidays. All right, let's take it down the stretch here. Wrap this another good episode of Creekside Chat up with some good holiday fun. Wanted to ask you what your favorite Thanksgiving Day food would be.
So it's hard pressed for me because I tend to pile my plate pretty big. So
like it all.
Yeah. Probably the craziest one is like growing up turnips.
Really?
I know. I love turnips and pearl onions.
It's like
it's weird.
Depression era food, right? Like for sustenance.
My grandparents. I didn't even like them either, but that's
What was the second one? Turnips and what?
Pearl onions. Those so weird.
Pearl onions of all
so
things.
gross.
I could not have guessed that if you asked me.
No, it's all good. No, you know what I really like? Is canned cranberry sauce.
Yeah, with the ridges on the side.
So gross looking, but it's so good. I eat a whole can by myself.
That's hilarious.
What about you?
Growing up in Kentucky, a lot of the women in my life make like incredible mashed potatoes. I could do just mashed potatoes and turkey and maybe a roll. Like that would be fine for me.
But that's like a day after meal, right?
Yeah, I like those basic things. And my mom used to make a great broccoli casserole, but I think the mashed potatoes would be my number one.
Oh, golly.
Huge fan.
So with Thanksgiving coming up, right, on the horizon, when is it too early to put up Christmas decorations?
If you ask my wife, we just put up 2 trees, and that's the middle of November or so. I guess that's okay. It seems a bit early to me. I always thought Thanksgiving, like at my grandma's house, we always used to get the stuff out the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's always the way it's been in my house too. But this year we're already
when
finished.
You have kids,
it's
right?
Great. It's fun.
So let's say, can we agree that like probably mid-November?
It's got to come after Halloween, but some people
does have to come after Halloween.
Their Christmas decorations up before Halloween.
It's incredible.
There's something not right about that.
Now, when do you need to get them down is another great question.
I tend to be the day after, but no, but we always settle on somewhere around New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's, the weekend after New Year's. Yeah, I think that's appropriate, but you can't be getting into too much into January on that.
But you see February too. It's like, all right, that's drug out a little too long. And the Christmas songs have to go like day after for me.
Oh, that's fun. It's great while it lasts. So we wish everybody a great holiday. We may see you before then. We may not. Not sure what the plans are for the upcoming episode yet, but we do hope to see you at the Karl Open House on Saturday, November 30th. Give us a call to get involved with Karl and get with us on any mares you need to apply for any of our stallions, and we will see you next time on Creekside Chat.